Wrestling legend Hulk Hogan dies at 71. Terry "Hulk Hogan" Bollea died on Thursday, WWE announced. He was 71 years old. News of Hogan's passing was initially reported by TMZ. Per the outlet, medical personnel were called to Hogan's Florida home for a cardiac arrest. Hogan is survived by his third wife, Sky Daly, and two children, Brooke and Nick. Hogan was married twice prior to Linda Claridge and Jennifer McDaniel. Although Hogan's professional wrestling career began in the late 1970s, his true explosion on the scene didn't come until mid-1980s, when he helped Vince McMahon turn the then WWF from primarily a Northeast-based wrestling territory into a national brand and eventually a multi-billion-dollar company. During his initial run with McMahon's promotion, Hogan's popularity surged, making him easily the most famous and recognized wrestler during the period. Hogan's entrance music, Real American, signature red and yellow gear, his catchphrase, "What ya gonna do," when Hulkamania runs wild on you, and his dubbing of fans as Hulkamaniacs helped make him arguably the most popular babyface of all time. Although Hogan's matches followed a simple formula, offense near defeat, hulking up before ultimately winning, he remained the biggest draw WWF had at the time. That Hogan's most famous match came in 1987, when he wrestled Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. Hogan and Andre had wrestled several times in the past, but none of the previous matches were met with the anticipation or stakes that their showdown at the Pontiac Silverdome did in that match. In an interview for the 2018 HBO documentary, Andre the Giant, Hogan recalled the build-up to the show, saying that he wasn't sure if Andre would follow the plan for the match, allowing Hogan to win and breaking his kayfabe undefeated streak. Hogan's body slam of Andre and ensuing victory were defining moments in professional wrestling history. Hogan's run at or near the top of WWE continued into the mid-1990s before he joined WWE's main competitor at the time, Ted Turner's World Championship Wrestling. Turner, looking to make a splash and grow his brand beyond the Southeast Territory, brought in Hogan and several other big-name talents. Hogan's first few years with WCW were largely forgettable before he became a star for another generation. Once the top babyface in the business, Hogan would again transcend professional wrestling in 1996, turning heel for the first time in over a decade and forming the New World Order alongside Scott Hall and Kevin Nash at Bash at the Beach. The NWO storyline quickly became one of the hottest in not just professional wrestling, but pop culture at the time, propelling WCW to an 18-month run of beating McMahon's WWE in television ratings. When McMahon eventually bought WCW and Hogan returned to WWE in 2002, he did so as his NWO Hollywood Hogan character and again captivated audiences at WrestleMania 18, wrestling Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in an instant classic. Hogan would leave WWE again in 2003, wrestling for numerous promotions, including TNA/Impact, over the next decade. Hogan appeared sporadically on WWE programming, mostly major events such as WrestleMania and anniversary shows, in subsequent years. Influential as a professional wrestler, Hogan utilized his status to cross over into Hollywood on several occasions. Hogan's first non-wrestling role came in 1982's Rocky III, where he played Thunderlips, a professional wrestler that Sylvester Stallone's character fights during a charity event. Hogan's most famous roles came in the 1993 film Mr. Nanny and the 1994 television series Thunder in Paradise. Hogan and his family also appeared on a reality television series, Hogan Knows Best, in the mid-2000s. Myriad scandals plagued Hogan over the years. In 1985, Hogan was involved in an incident with actor Richard Belzer after Hogan placed Belzer in a chokehold at the star's request. Belzer passed out and suffered a head injury and sued Hogan. Nearly a decade later, Hogan offered testimony in the federal steroid trafficking trial against McMahon. Most notably, in 2012, a clip from a sex tape involving Hogan and Heather Clem was published online by Gawker. Hogan sued Gawker, and after years-long litigation, eventually reached a $31 million settlement. Then, in July 2015, footage from the same sex tape was leaked to Radar Online and the National Enquirer, where Hogan was filmed using racial slurs and claiming he was a little racist. The incident caused WWE to cut ties with Hogan for several years before eventually reconciling. One of Hogan's most recent appearances, at Raw's Netflix debut in January, was met with an overwhelmingly negative reaction from WWE fans. In recent years, Hogan expanded his platform into a memorabilia shop in Florida, as well as a beer company, Real American Beer, and was in the process of launching a freestyle wrestling company, Real American Freestyle, alongside his former WCW colleague, Bischoff. Hogan took a central role in the 2024 presidential election, delivering a speech at the Republican National Convention last August and introducing former President Donald Trump on the final night. Despite criticisms about his wrestling style and his transgressions, Hogan remained a major draw and influential figure for the industry. During his 6-decade career in professional wrestling, Hogan won countless titles and was inducted into multiple halls of fame. According to reports first published by TMZ and confirmed by WWE, emergency responders were called to Hogan's Florida home early Thursday morning following a cardiac arrest. He was transported to a nearby hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Hulk Hogan's career began in the late 1970s, but it was during the 1980s that he became a cultural phenomenon, with his iconic red and yellow ring gear, the anthem Real American as his entrance music, and his catchphrase, asterisk, what you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you, asterisk. Hogan turned the World Wrestling Federation into a global entertainment powerhouse. He headlined WrestleMania 3 in 1987, body-slamming Andre the Giant in what is still considered one of the most defining moments in wrestling history. Hogan is survived by his wife, Sky Daly, whom he married in 2023, as well as his 2 children, Brooke and Nick Hogan. He was previously married to Linda Claridge and Jennifer McDaniel. Beyond WWE, Hogan made headlines in 1996 when he turned heel and formed the legendary faction New World Order in WCW, a move that helped shift the wrestling industry and dominate television ratings for nearly 2 years. He later returned to WWE, facing off against Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a classic match at WrestleMania X8. At the time of his passing, Hulk Hogan's net worth was estimated at $25 million, earned from his wrestling career, Hollywood roles, endorsements, business ventures, and a notable lawsuit settlement with Gawker Media. Hogan leaves behind not only a legacy as a 6-time WWE champion and a 2005 Hall of Fame inductee, but also as one of the most recognizable pop culture icons of the 1980s and 90s. As WWE and fans around the world mourn this loss, Hulk Hogan's impact on sports entertainment and his millions of Hulkamaniacs will continue to live on